Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to speak to all of you at the International Code Council's annual business meeting. I want to thank Dominic Sims and the rest of the leadership team for the invitation. And let me thank all of you for your leadership in developing model building codes, really for the globe. So I wish I could be addressing you live, but by the time you see this, I'm actually going to be in Europe on behalf of the Biden administration, engaging international partners in discussions around advanced nuclear energy. And as you might guess, that's all part of our push for climate action. We want to get the United States to 100% clean electricity by 2035 and net zero by 2050. And I'm joining you today because I believe the ICC has a big role to play in that effort. I mean, if you think back on everything that we've been through this year, just in the United States, for example, we've had a polar vortex that left Texas shivering in the dark. We had endless droughts and record-breaking heat waves. We've had terrifying wildfires, deadly flooding from Hurricane Ida, now Hurricane Nicholas. You know, as President Biden says, this, and as the IPCC said, this is a code red for humanity, a code red for climate change. The crisis is here. It's hurting our health. It's hurting our wealth. And if we don't act, it is going to keep getting worse. And, you know, and here's the thing, climate action runs right through our building stock. America's 129 million residential and commercial buildings use, as you know, roughly 40% of the nation's energy, 75% of the nation's electricity, and an even greater share of peak electricity demand. So collectively, these buildings account for a little over a third of our CO2 emissions. And then consider that these buildings have an effect, a bigger effect, leave lower income Americans with an energy burden that can be up to 30%. That's 30% of a paycheck that can't go to food or medicine or childcare. So we all know that we can do better, that we can eliminate that waste, that we can lower our bills, that we can reduce emissions. And that key, the key to all of that is in bolder building codes. I saw the potential up close when I served as governor of Michigan. My administration led the state through an update of our codes that actually led to a 9% reduction in residential building energy use and a 16% reduction in commercial building use. And that was in 2009. And in the time since, man, the technologies and the practices behind building energy efficiency obviously have improved significantly. So today, it's really clear that along with updating and upholding safety and public health, we can wield building codes to actually confront climate change. That is a huge weapon in our arsenal, an arrow in our quiver. It means it's time to move past traditional minimums. It's time to really start thinking about how codes could quickly and aggressively raise efficiency and raise resilience and even raise clean energy capacity. Let me give you one example. So a week ago, we released our Solar Futures study, which is from the National Renewable Energy Lab, and it's a projection about where solar is going to be. And it concluded that we could get potentially 40% of our nation's electricity from solar power by 2035, 40%. But to do it, we need to throw everything we can at deploying solar capacity at scale. And that includes forward-thinking codes to guide rooftop solar deployment in conjunction with building efficiency measures. It's the same thing with our efforts to expand EV charging infrastructure while following the model stretch code package we published 2 months ago. And I can tell you, we're looking at more stretch code model opportunities, including PV. The point is, building codes can play a much bigger role, should play a much bigger role than in the past. And if they're done right, they can serve as readily available strategies for cities and states and tribes and territories that are seeking to advance their climate ambitions. In fact, we can see that in ICC's latest iteration of the International Energy Conservation Code for residential buildings, which boosts energy efficiency by 9.4%. Now, for consumers, that's going to mean important savings to the tune of more than $2,300 over the span of a typical mortgage. And it also means smaller carbon footprints and faster progress toward our climate goals, which is exactly why the Department of Energy is calling on state and local and tribal and territorial governments to adopt this latest iteration. I was pleased to learn that ICC has echoed our call, which I understand is a first, and that tells me that you recognize the role you can play in this moment. All of us at DOE applaud you for stepping up to fill it. And we hope that really that you will keep that great leadership role in mind and that inclusive effort in mind to design the next iterations of the IECC to generate even bigger energy and carbon savings. And I know that as you oversee the development of these model codes, you decide what the process entails. But I can't emphasize enough just how important it is to make that process inclusive and representative of all viewpoints at all levels, from working groups right up to the board itself. I'll be honest. Shutting stakeholders out is only going to drive resulting codes towards irrelevance. We need to consider what residents and utilities, builders, equipment manufacturers all have to say. And more importantly, we need state and local and tribal and territorial governments, particularly those who are representing underserved communities. We need them to weigh in because they're the folks who adopt and implement model codes like the IECC. They have a legal and regulatory responsibility over them. That means that they have, I think, and I know you'd agree, I hope you'd agree, that they have invaluable perspectives on what's both desirable and feasible. And they have the unique authority to put it into action. And that's doubly true for localities that have embraced stretched codes. They're on the cutting edge. They have the clearest view of where we can go next. And without those voices, the process really risks overlooking critical steps. And worse, not moving forward quickly enough to meet our nation's challenges, the big climate challenge. So with the stakes this high, we just cannot afford to shy away from workable avenues for reducing emissions. We need more than just talk of bolder building energy codes. We need to walk the walk. And that means following through with significant advancements. Fact is, this is where the world is going. I'll be seeing it up close in Europe, and much like all of us at DOE, President Biden wants Americans to have wider access to the economic and health benefits of more efficient and more sustainable and greener buildings. And that's why his Build Back Better agenda includes billions of dollars in block grants and tax credits for state and tribal and local governments that are pursuing retrofits and that are constructing new and efficient buildings. And those grants and tax credits are going to incentivize states and localities to update their codes. So we're looking to you to keep pushing the envelope with these codes, and we'll stand by you all the way. We're urging you to develop them, though, with the assistance of partners throughout state and local government. And if you're willing to make this process truly inclusive and forward-looking in the years ahead, we are eager and ready to help navigate those very partnerships. So we are hoping that we can work with you on a shared mission, because I believe that together we can match ambition to on-the-ground realities, that we can maximize the potential in our building codes, and we can march forward to confront the climate crisis. So thank you all so very much once again for the invitation to address you. And I look forward to working inclusively with you together moving forward. Enjoy the rest of today's meeting.